been a fantastic day. So the next game up is Brazil against France in Pool C. And it's a game that Brazil certainly will be looking to try and show their worth. These teams have only met once before in the World Series, last year in Dubai when Brazil lost 22-0, but that might well be different. France have looked quite ordinary in this tournament to date. They haven't scored a point as of yet, having lost their 2 matches against Canada and Australia. And those are the combinations. So the Brazilians captained, as usual, by Sada, who certainly looks the part too, and a fantastic player, physical education teacher. And she's got a fair number of good players around her there. Santini, the number 4, she's got a very small girl, but certainly does her bit. And one of the key things for them too will be to look after possession against France, and maybe their opportunities will come. Nevertheless, the French will try and get some points on the board, having lost 26-0 to Canada and then 31-0 to Australia. Alongside me, Gavin Carley is a former England international, Sue Day, and well, besides that, you're a chartered accountant too, so we can always rely on you for the numbers, Sue.
There's a scoreboard for that, fortunately, because my mental arithmetic's not the best. I've got to agree with you though about the form book. You know, the form book would say that France ought to win this game. Yes, they've only met once, but you know the positions that France have achieved in other tournaments compared to Brazil. But on the strength of today's performance, I've been really impressed with Brazil. You know, Sada, Santini, Ishibashi leading from the front, those really experienced players, and we just haven't seen it from France yet. But you know, you never know with France.
Well, I think that really summarises it. You don't really know with him. Elise Jordan from South Africa is our referee, and that's not a good start for the French. This kickoff so vital, making sure, number 1, that they go 10 metres, but number 2, that they give you an opportunity to compete for the ball. So Brazil with Ramalho, and some terrific running from Campos. You could see the intention there was just to keep the momentum going, and I think that's one thing that the Brazilians could do quite well. They seem to have good ball skills, and they're very athletic.
Yeah, it's a lovely line from Campos, wasn't it? Really caught the French defence napping. Just a shame you couldn't lift that ball just slightly higher and get it into the hands of support runners.
Saw in the last match the Brazilian front row too were very competitive, even although they were giving a weight advantage away. Rose Thomas with in the scrum half position, going back for it there was Marjorie Mayans, Six Nations player for France. This is big pressure now, the Brazilians with an opportunity. Oh, it's a lovely little dummy. Holding on to it was Sada. And yeah, they come again, and yeah, potentially is, in fact, it is the first try for Malana Ramalho, and Brazil are on the board.
Yeah, good vision from Varallo, wasn't it? Very poor defence from France. It really didn't look like anything was on. The defence was out, but Round just not protecting the fringes at all, giving Ramalho a clear run to the line.
Well, we might see some level of unpredictability from the Brazilians at times too. And as we've seen from the nation of Brazil, they all know how to kick a ball. So the conversion is good, and that's a good start for the girls from South America.
Yeah, and just what France didn't want. When you're having a poor tournament, you've got 2 poor games under your belt, you really need to come out the third one firing, and it's quite the opposite really. Brazil on the front foot, and France just holding back, not getting the tackles in.
Well, basic knock on there too from France, and this is given another opportunity, yeah, for Brazil, and this is going to be another good finish, this. Rachel Cochran going in. So that basic error then from the kick-in, and the Brazilians are really a great start for them in this match.
And this time from just a simple handling error from France. You know, it wasn't a particularly high kick-off. She came to claim the kick-off. Here she goes. Kicks off not particularly high, an easy claim, and just goes forward. And that was a lovely ball. Lovely ball, wasn't it, that she got away there.
A terrific support play too from the Brazilian team in making sure that they could open up the way there for Cochran. And the conversion has gone rather wide, but nevertheless it's 12 points to 0 then that the Brazilians lead, and we're really pleased with that start. Marlo with the kickoff. She's a very experienced player, having already played in 4 events. Looking to get the big hanging kick there and enough pressure at the breakdown point. So France absolutely fighting for everything they're worth. And they've managed to win a penalty. Some nuggety work there from Guglio. France on the front foot, and some good running off the ball. The basic little error that has bedeviled them in this tournament.
Yeah, another error from France. They just give the impression of, at the moment, of a team that doesn't quite know what each other's doing. I'm sure they've had plenty of time together to prepare, but it's just, you know, when you're having a bad day, you're having a really bad day, and they can't get the timing right.
All 3 balls that they've given away. Just have a look there at Edna Santini putting the ball in for Brazil. Just 5 feet tall, 52 kilograms. She's a tiny little pocket rocket. Good distributor of the ball. On this occasion, it's Brazil who've let things slip.
Yeah, it was the precision of the passing that let Brazil down there, wasn't it? It nearly got into the hands of Paula Ishibashi out there, but it really stopped her. The ball was too high, stopped her in a track, so she lost her flow.
One gets the feeling that they really want to play a high-tempo game, Brazil.
Yeah, they're not the biggest side in the world, are they? So they need to make something else work for them. They, you know, with Ishibashi, with Santini, they've got some pretty small players, but they're really jinky, and they want to get the ball in space, don't they, and challenge the French defence. Well,
how about that scrum from Brazil? Terrific from their front 3, Sada, Campos and Koshinen. It's been a long day too, the 3rd match, of course, for these 2 teams. And more to come tomorrow. And of course, your concentration needs to be at a very high level. With this Pool C game and the way Pool C is poised at the moment, it's a very important match for both these teams. Rose Flower trying to hold on to that. Take then from France, and this time looking to try and play it wide, but they didn't quite get that right. Of course, when you take a short kick, the ball has got to leave your hands. So there's the standings in, and have a look at the points difference, and of course that's pretty crucial too. So Australia looking very strong in that respect, and Brazil know too that they really need to pile on the points.
Yeah, there's only 2 of the 3rd place teams that will go through to the quarterfinals, so really important if you look like you're going to finish there to get as many points as you possibly can. At the moment, not looking so good for France, though.
No, it certainly isn't. As you said, not the biggest of girls, but they're very tigerish, are the Brazilians. They'll fight for everything. So the penalty for offside is gives an opportunity here for Julian Sala. And she immediately finds herself in some space as the halftime whistle goes in the background. Or the hooter rather, not the whistle. Then the pass out. And Brazil don't want to give away points here. And there might well be an opportunity here. Some good running from Izar. We've seen that she's got the pace and it takes the opportunity. So France are still very much in this game with that try on halftime.
Yeah, a little bit of an experienced show for Brazil there. The last thing you want to do, just as the hooter's going, is to throw a loose pass when the defence is coming up hard like that. Look after the ball and then get rid of it when you get the opportunity. As it is, they've turned the ball over and France have been allowed to score a try. Not just score a try, but get one right under the post there. So ought to be the full 7 points.
They wanted to make 100% sure of those 7 points, and they've done that. Shannon Izard converting that try of hers, the first one for France, and in fact the first points of this year's tournament in Dubai for the French nation. Marcus Neal, who's the coach of the Brazilian team, and of course the Brazilian team are enlisting good support as well from New Zealand, with many of these girls living together in Sao Paulo too. So there's a strong unity amongst this Brazilian team, and obviously taking things very seriously in the lead up to the 2016 Rio Olympics, where they of course will be the host. And David Corter, who seems to be quite animated at times, and one can understand why, because he expects a little bit more from his French team. So if we just have a look back at today now, and we're in match 13, and we consider the sort of the highs that we've seen of the tournament, what are the things that have really impressed you?
It's hard to answer that question without starting with New Zealand. They've been a class above everybody today. It's not to say they will be tomorrow. They've had a really, really good day. They've stretched defences. They've taken the gap at the right time. They've put the foot on the gas at the right time. But then past that, it's been the closeness of some of the games. You know, it shows that there used to be 3, 4, 5 teams that would streak away and be miles ahead of the rest. We've seen Brazil today, well, more than competing with France at the moment. We've seen Fiji competing with the USA. We've seen close ties involving Russia, Spain, England. So it's just, you know, it's just really, really exciting to watch, because you can't call the result until the last few seconds of the game, which is the beauty, of course, of sevens.
And of course, there are some key and some star players that are not at this tournament due to injury. And certainly the England team has also been weakened somewhat. Just hear the chatting and the talking there from the Brazilian team, just always communicating. Santini unable to hold on to that ball, so the Brazil have a penalty and an opportunity to just try and stretch that lead if they can. One of the key things is to show some patience, get out of their half, but also to cut down on their basic errors.
Yeah, one too many basic errors from both, well, maybe 2 or 3 too many basic errors from both teams at the moment. You know, it's such a short game, you get so few opportunities, and just, it's really the pass that let them down there. It's such a low, dying pass, really hard to get your hands on. And there we are, we see that both teams have made too many errors today.
Well, Carla Barbosa, yeah, perhaps feel the pass wasn't exactly where it should be. Rose Thomas, rather, with the put-in for France. It's her birthday tomorrow, so wouldn't she love to get a try? And you see the French just having to move laterally. Brazilians just very tigerish at the breakdown point and well organised in defence. Into space there was Audrey Armil, and now an opportunity for France. Can they find support? And the offload. Marjorie Mayans initially, and still fighting, but you can see Brazil sometimes outgunned and perhaps in the size stakes, just remain very, very competitive. And it's a disjointed France team that are not really able to string together a number of passes and really perhaps hurt the opposition.
Yeah, offloading can be really effective in sevens. You know, you get behind the defence, you've got a support player coming, offload it, really hard for the defence to work out and understand what's going to happen. But if you overuse it, it makes things really scrappy. And what we're seeing here is 2 teams really trying to offload at every opportunity, whether it's on and whether it's not on. And it's creating a really scrappy game. I'm not saying they shouldn't do it, I think they need to pick the right moment.
And again, very often players perhaps are a little bit reluctant, and also maybe it's not the game plan to put the ball to boot. Very often a good effective kick pass or a grubber can actually make a huge difference, particularly if you don't have someone sweeping on a regular basis. So France now, can they play it a little bit wider, perhaps open up things, because they're losing the fight at the breakdown point.
Yeah, you see there, France got tackled. They played the ball wide. They played it to their widest player and got tackled in the middle of the pitch. What you need to be doing in seven, that tackle where that ball's sitting now, needs to be another 10, 20 metres further over, because that is stretching the defence much more. And as it is, Brazil didn't have to work very hard to get there, so they really need to be trying, France, to get on the outside of Brazil, not keep cutting back through the middle.
Yeah, for that too, you need some continuity in passing, you need some flow. Just a little bit disjointed for the French. Santini now, tigerish young scrum half. This time it's Brazil who made to move a little bit more lateral. So this time, well, that's quite unusual. Proper binding there from France at the break tight, the scrummage. Now you can see Brazil spread right across the field, and that's the kick we're talking about. Now that's a very good kick because it's got in behind, and if you've got someone who's got plenty of pace, it can make a difference. Santini the chaser on that occasion. It wouldn't be too unkind to say that she's not the quickest in the side, but she's probably the most tigerish.
Yeah, and it was 50-50 going for that ball, wasn't it? But the touch judges called that that's France ball. But you're right, you called it. There's a lot of space behind the defence, and it was a very, very well-weighted kick.
So France want to get this ball in. And it's going to be a free kick there. There was a problem with numbers. They had an extra player in the line-out, did Brazil. Oh, this time just managed to get it a little bit wider, but again they're cutting in, perhaps being forced to by Brazil. Let's give them credit for some good defensive work. And this time the breakdown point is won by France. Just when they've got the ball, they just don't seem to really have a direction they can run in. Now this time they bring it a little bit wider, which has opened up some space now, and a big chase downfield coming from Guglio.
Great cover defence, wasn't it? Great cover defence from Santini.
She's a real 14-minute player, isn't she? Just flying across there. Brazil bringing on Angelica Guevara. Just an opportunity to rest. Still a tight game this, with just those 5 points in it. And maybe there were expectations that Brazil would have scored a lot more points by this stage of the game. Both teams must seem quite happy with getting involved with an arm wrestle. So now can Brazil find some space? We've seen one or two terrific tries from teams within their own 22. Of course, where you've got the pace, it's ideal. Now here come France, deciding that route one is the answer for them. Now they've got numbers. Yeah, surely they've got to make this work in some formula. Oh, nearly an intercept, but there's going to be another penalty here to France. And they've just got to be cool, calm and collected right here. I'm sure that they've got something that they've worked out. A very brave tackle that from Brazil. Another chance for France as they pushed back there in that ruck situation. And another penalty. Well, are we going to see a card at some point in time? Let's just see what Wallis Jordan needs to say. I would imagine she's Afrikaans speaking. Brazilians speak Portuguese. She was probably conversing in English. And that's good defensive work by Brazil. They really got themselves out of jail there, and some nuggety defense from them.
Excellent defence from Brazil, wasn't it? It looked for all money like France were going to score. If I were France, I'd be a little bit unhappy that there have been a couple of penalties given away just short of the try line. The game's then slowed down to have a word, but there's no card shown. And so France, from having the opportunity for a quick tap, has suddenly slowed down. Brazil get a chance to organise their defence, and next thing you know, it's cleared up the pitch.
Well, it has certainly been a tight tussle, and perhaps one that Brazil wouldn't have expected, but it was crucial for them to win this game against France by those 12 points.